So we're just looking at some different ways of attacking the arms, no gi, starting in closed guard. So ideally, I want to have head control, and I'm surfing my hips to make sure that he's not keeping a knee in the middle. And as he's moving, I'm timing, pulling my legs up high. So as he starts to move, I can pull him in, and in this case, I'm getting an underhook on the arm. I'm just going to gable grip, and ideally this hand is thumb to me in this direction. Now I'm just bringing my elbow over the top and clamping down on the arm. And ideally I'm keeping his forearm on my shoulder rather than having it up here on my neck. It's not a loss if it's up here, but I can get more pressure if it's there. Now that I'm here, I'm going to heavy leg and move my hip out to get a foot on the hip. And I'm also clamping down on the front of the shoulder, and then I'm adjusting the point of control to just this bump where the brachial nerve is coming through the back of the arm here. Now, the arm is usually going to do one of two things. Sometimes they're pulling it back in which case you get like a catch figure four. Usually they start to straighten it out. So as it's straightening, I'm going to hip up and transfer my grip to the elbow. So I'm trying to keep connection with my hip behind the arm. And then I'm dragging, and I want to grab the far armpit. Okay, sometimes you get the head, but if you can, get the far armpit. And I'm keeping my hip pressure behind the arm so that it's harder for him to pull his arm out. Now my other hand is diving underneath, and I'm hitting that same gable grip on the other side, but I've passed his arm underneath my armpit. Foot on the hip, tighten my knees, climb, and now I've got a double armbar here. I've got a diagonal armbar for the bottom arm, and I've got a cutting armbar on the top arm. If he does happen to pull this arm out, I'm immediately into triangle options. Yeah, that's good. So sometimes when you're doing this, especially no gi, the arms move around and slide around a lot more, so you may not feel that the cutting armbar or the diagonal armbar are hitting because it's a bit too slippery, but you can still get this sort of position. Very often, if I can still control the armpit or the head and have his arm on this side, I'm perfectly set up to start to go for a flower sweep. So in this case, I'm just bringing him up on top of me, and then I'm doing a push kick. Boom. Now it's at this point I sprawl my belly and stay heavy. I do have a little bit of an armbar here, and then I'm bringing my knees up, turning around to S mount. So I've still got this armbar pressure here, and I've got cutting armbar on top, or if I want, I've got the step over. Right time. My fat ass.